Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Maria Johansson, and I work as a Business Development Manager at Ocean Highway Cluster. Thank you for joining the first webinar in our Maritime AI series. I will be moderating today's webinar together with our director, Martin Hennem. Today, we focus on maritime logistics and how artificial intelligence can support smarter ports and better coordination and stronger sustainability outcomes. Before we begin, I want to thank our guest speakers for joining us. Energy advisor Mika from Port of Oslo, and from CCB we have Hanne Lokøy, Head of Market and Communication and Hub Coordinator for Ågotnes Maritime Cluster. Thank you and welcome. First, Martin and I will guide the conversation, and we will include time for questions from the audience. Martin, welcome, and thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you so much, Maria. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much, all of you, for joining us, both the external speakers, Hanne and Mikkel. We are really looking forward to today, and this is a very important subject for us in the Ocean Highway Cluster and in Hub for Ocean.
A quick note before we begin, this webinar will be recorded. We will share a short summary and the recording afterward. Please use the question and answer function during the session. We will collect questions and bring them into the discussion. So, before I hand over to Martin, on this slide, I want to clarify what we mean by Maritime AI and why it matters. Maritime AI is practical use of data and artificial intelligence to improve operations across maritime value chains. The key word is practical. This is about day-to-day performance. Typical applications include decision support for port operations and logistics, improved situational awareness, and risk management. Also, predictive maintenance and more optimized planning for energy and infrastructure capacity. Well, over time, this is also what enables more autonomous and remotely supported workflows. The reason this matters now is straightforward. First, we have more sensors and more data across vessels and ports. Second, ports and operators face stronger demands for efficiency, safety, and low-emission operations. And third, the most important, international adaptation is moving quickly from pilots to scaled use. On the left here, you can see examples of the market momentum, both in innovation activity and in projected growth for AI in maritime transport. The point is not the exact numbers, but the direction, investment, and capability increases totally fast, as you can see here. So, the question for Norway is, how do we turn our strong maritime environment into scalable solutions? And that is exactly why we are hosting this series, to build a concrete collaboration arena between ports, industry, and technology actors. As we mentioned, we have far more operational data than before, but maritime operators also face tighter demands on efficiency, safety, and low-emission performance. By research, we know that AI helps converting fragmented data into practical decisions, better planning, and more structured operations, including predictive maintenance and smarter logistics. International adaptation is increasing. If Norway wants to stay competitive, we need real collaboration arenas where ports, industry, and research share what works in practice. This webinar series is built to be that arena. If Norwegian maritime actors to remain visible and technologically relevant, we need to build capability in maritime AI and create arenas where practical experience is shared. We also need faster innovation through collaboration and trusted data sharing. Most importantly, Norway's international positioning by making successful projects and partners more visible within the technology itself. Now, I will hand over to Martin to briefly introduce Ocean Highway Cluster and why we are building this arena. Martin, over to you.
Thank you so much, Maria. So I will try to use a couple of minutes, not too much time, on the background of the cluster and why we are interested in this subject. As you can see, we are a small team within the Hub for Ocean who are all having experience from either the maritime side of things, from the IT and from AI, and also from shipbuilding and ship design. We started 15 years ago with the Hub for Ocean located in Florø on the west coast of Norway. And 10 years back, we actually started also working within the hydrogen and ammonia value chain. We are a collaboration platform. We try to connect industry, public sector, private sector, ports, technology providers, research and development into actually working on the value chain within the hydrogen sector. And our mission is to actually complete and create a fully functional value chain. Everything from production all the way to the end use of what we call alternative fuels like hydrogen and ammonia within the shipping and maritime sector. We strongly believe that this is a part of the solution for actually reducing emissions from the maritime sector, both in Norway and internationally. And as we have seen the last few years, there has been a lot of push from both technology providers and also from public authorities in how to actually cut emissions by using what we call alternative fuels in the future. We are a network, as I said, we are a collaboration platform, and in the cluster we have gathered a vast array of companies and institutions. At the time being, we are around 60 companies within this network from all across the value chain. And we are also, if you look into the vaster network within Hub for Ocean, we are around 120 members altogether. What we see is really interesting now is the fact that when we create hydrogen, we also create a lot of excess oxygen, and we also create a lot of excess energy in the form of hot water. When we try to couple production of hydrogen together with other industries, we see that there is a huge potential in creating partnerships between the energy producers, the energy carriers, and also, for instance, fish farming, local aquaculture, and also waste treatment, both in the region, but also nationally and internationally. So this is one subject that we are really working on now, and we will also develop this into the future. This will also strengthen the business case for the hydrogen value chain. Since the beginning, we have been developing either alone or together with partners, lots of different projects. I will just mention a couple of them today. As I mentioned, the cluster is based in Florø on the west coast of Norway, and the two upper cases on this picture are actually infrastructure that will be built in Florø. The first one on the upper left is the ammonia fuel bunkering network created by Asane Fuel Solutions. This is actually a very flexible system for bunkering ammonia onto ships and can be moved around, or you can actually place it where you need in the harbor so that you don't need to build a lot of new infrastructure. The other project in the middle is HyFuel project run by HYDS in Florø. And they will create a hydrogen production facility of 20 megawatts. And as you can see, there are lots of potential circularity models together with other actors in that region. They will provide both, or the first step, they will provide compressed hydrogen, and in the second step, they might also be producing and providing liquefied hydrogen, which gives them a possibility to serve different kinds of ships passing in the region. One of our colleagues, he has 40 years of background from the ship design industry, and has been running a retrofit projects. How do we actually take old ships or relatively old ships and retrofit them into the use of ammonia or hydrogen? That was a project that we did last year, and this year we are doing a the latest project. It's also kind of a background for this interest within the AI, and also the collaboration with CCB and with the Port of Oslo, is what we call the green maritime energy stations. How do we prepare ports? How do we prepare coastal areas and energy hubs to actually provide the fuels of the future, which means ammonia, hydrogen, electricity, combined with other energy carriers, but also combined with other sectors that are interesting for connecting them to the ports and to the coastal areas. Very interesting projects, and we see that the industry themselves are looking into how they can be partners of these kinds of initiatives. We have also developed a database with the most important infrastructure projects and possibilities in Norway, both on the production side and on the infrastructure side, that you can consult on our webpage. So why AI? That's the big question. Why do we think that this is interesting? I would like to highlight the main barriers that we see that the industry has when it comes to both the deployment and the use of alternative fuels like hydrogen and ammonia. We talk about safety. Now, is this a safe use? Is it a safe product within, for instance, a port area with explosiveness, with toxicity? We are facing constraint when it comes to public awareness and public acceptance. And I think the last 3 points are really something that we could probably solve also with the use of AI. The building of infrastructure, the access to infrastructure that is needed, everything that comes with the end users, the price, especially in comparison with fossil fuels, the competitors, and also how we can work on standards and regulations, both nationally and also cross-border in Europe and in the world, actually. These are the main barriers that the companies are seeing themselves, but also the institutions are seeing themselves. So we think that AI, or our theory is that AI is an enabler for developing the competitive hydrogen value chain into the future, making it more cost efficient and making it more easily available and accessible to potential end users. And we see that this arena is a very nice arena to actually create new partnerships and collaboration for the next decade or so into the future. So, Maria, with that, I think that was the background for the whole idea of this webinar. So I'll give the word back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. We will now move to our first guest speaker. I'm very pleased to welcome Mika, Energy Advisor at Port of Oslo. Port of Oslo has been active in digitalization and open port data, building a foundation for future autonomous and data-driven port operations. Mikkel, thank you for joining. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Maria, and thank you also, Martin, for the introduction, and also for inviting me and giving the Port of Oslo an opportunity to speak today. As you already has mentioned, the use of AI in maritime sector is a highly relevant topic here in 2026, and I have looked forward to this day. First, I will give a short introduction to the Port of Oslo. We are a landlord port. That means that we own the land and many of the buildings, and we therefore have a large maintenance task and governance task of the maritime companies operating within our outer borders. So the Port of Oslo is Norway's largest container terminal, and we receive approximately 10 to 12 container vessels per week. These vessels largely arrives on Wednesday and Thursday, and then again on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The container terminal itself is operated by Gyllport, and they manage the arrivals, they allocate the berths, they are handling all the loading and unloading of containers, and also the entire logistical operation on the quay. But in addition to the container terminal, we also have the receiving of tankers with fuels. So we receive approximately 40% of all liquid fuels for vehicles in Norway, and we receive all the fuel for Gardermoen Airport. The vessels are managed into the port by the port control, and are then giving berth positions based on requirements, based on what the vessel operator and the availability there are in the ports. We also deal a lot with other stakeholders in the port. As you can see on the slide, we have concrete production. That is an important part of the general city development in Oslo. And the most environmental transportation of concrete and cement is by the sea. So the port here plays a crucial role in facilitating the smooth port operations, but also the possibility for using electric heavy equipment for the further transport beyond the port. In the future, we will also be host to intermediate storage for CO2. That's part of the city's emissions reduction plans. And we will need to manage trucks arriving with CO2 from the local incineration plant at Klemetsrud. And we also need to ensure that the vessel arrives timely and have clear passage when disembarking again. So when we look at the role of the landlord port in the transition to incorporate AI, it is to manage the data for the stakeholders. So what we as port need to do is move away from Excel sheets, email inboxes, and knowledge retained in a few key senior engineers working at the Port Authority. So we need to perform a lot of digitalization and standardization of the data in accordance with international standards, and just to make sure that the data is available for real-time use. The port has for the last couple of years been involved in digitalization projects regarding the data we already possess, and have also created new data based on the requirements from the stakeholders. In the future, we will see autonomous vessels, as you also mentioned, Maria. And in order for these vessels to navigate in and out of the port, it's crucial that these data sources are validated and also continuously updated. So the port in general have a big responsibility to do this, but we are not doing it alone. As illustrated, the different stakeholders use our data, but they also provide data in return. The green box illustrates the databases that the Port Authority mainly provides input to via the software portal called Greek Connect Ports, and also from QGIS. So this connection is where the port control manages the vessels arriving, and it is incorporated with the data from QGIS, which is a geodatabase containing all the data points regarding the port's infrastructure. So the vessels, they inform the port control what their needs are. They do that via the Safe CNET, and then the vessels can also see what the port are offering of facilities. And then the port control can then allocate a free berth to the vessels. As you see, there's also a connection to a national database, and that is important as that moves the responsibility both for the safeguarding away from all of the different ports and move it into a national database. That also ensures that the end users don't have to connect to every port for data. So it is all shared from a single source. So when in the future we see the autonomous vessels operating, they have data available. And when they combine that with AIS and terminal operators' open source data for congestion and the foundation for transit optimization, such as just-in-time arrivals, that can be achieved either by the vessels slow steaming, or otherwise they can utilize the additional waiting time for other operations when arriving earlier to a port. So when the vessels in the future can combine this data regarding congestions to optimize their energy consumption on board, that can be used by letting AI systems controlling the process. And we will most likely see emissions reductions and also larger supply chain workflows optimized because of the use of AI systems. And that is just the C part. of the AI, let's call it evolution. Because when terminal operators can combine the highly predictable arrival of vessels, then they can inform truck drivers of container pickup times with a high accuracy, and that will reduce the lead time for customers and also reduce the working capital for cargo owners. But there are, of course, many parameters that need to be considered here and mapped and tracked in real time for this to happen. And that is where we see AI systems really has an advantage, that they have the advantage to maintain the overview of many different parameters, not just the vessel speeds and position, but also incorporating congestions in ports, congestions at roads, but also weather factors such as what are the wind, what are the current, and simply could be used to optimize everything from the vessel's energy performance, but also how the terminal handles the vessels when it arrives. So let's look at some of the data that has been looked into. Here we see a section of the data that the port have shared. Kystverket, they have an open database called Kystinfo. And this is where the data is, and it is freely available. This is from one of our keys in Oslo, and of course the GPS coordinates and depths are available, but you can also see key installations like bullets positions and their capacity, what kind of shore power connections there are there low voltage power, where are safety equipment and what type of safety equipment are available. You can even see what types of recycle bins are installed. And in addition, data like maximum point load on the quay, general assessments, fender position, and type of surface is also available. And a lot of these informations is needed, especially when we look 10, 15, 20 years into the future, and we will see autonomous vessels arriving. Then these types of informations combined with sensor systems that need to be installed in the quay, that can enable that autonomous vessels can arrive safely in and out of the ports. As a landlocked port, we have a lot of areas and buildings under our control. So the maritime part is very much put on the vessel operators and owners and the stakeholders in the port. But as the port authority, we actually have other uses of AI as well. And many of these areas are directly linked to the maritime sector. The picture you see on your screen is from a current project where we utilize AI, and we can see the loads during the day for a specific building here. This building is located in our cargo port, but it also includes a shore power connection for an electric tug vessel. So we can actually see some peaks here, and that's where the vessel is charging its batteries. This is one of the challenges that we have at the moment, and that is where we either lack monitoring capabilities in the form of sensors, or in this case that the data has been aggregated because the monitor for electricity consumption is placed too far back in the system. That we can't see just for this single vessel. But by identifying these issues, we can then insert either additional monitors, but we can also include control systems that are able to control by smart grid systems to manage our top loads. In that way, we can shape these peaks down and not overloading the net electric system. With this data we already have from this current project, that is being processed by an AI to predict when high loads will occur, but also when electric loads can be eliminated, for example, for out-of-office periods. And this is just one building and one shore power connection, but we are looking into a future picture in the port. So in the cargo port alone, we are installing many shore power connections, and we are in a project where we are going to estimate well, what are the needs, not just for shore power, but also for charging larger vessels that are going to be operated with the large battery banks in the vessels, but also trucks and handling equipment in the port that are being electrified. So there are multiple stakeholders within the port's borders that are using electricity, but we can see that not everybody can, if the project comes to life, can use it at the same time, because the loads will simply be too large. And that's where AI can come in and help us to kind of say to all of our stakeholders, we are going to manage all of this, all these electric loads, and you must put in your data, your needs, and then the AI can allocate slots for when to load, for example, electric trucks, or when vessels can arrive safely and also charge their batteries. So that ends my presentation for the Port of Oslo's current work with AI. I'd like to hand over the microphone to you, Maria.
Thank you, Mikkel. That was highly relevant, of course. I want to carry 2 points into our panel, your practical definition of AI awareness and how open data plus real-time monitoring can actually accelerate collaboration across stakeholders. Interesting. Now we move from the Port of Authority perspective to the industrial logistics and infrastructure perspective. Back to you, Martin.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you so much, Mikkel. I think it's very fascinating to see the number of people and number of organizations and institutions involved in this setting, Mikkel, in the Port of Oslo. I think many of us who are not on the inside of the port might think that, you know, port are traditional, they are slowly moving forward, but I think that you are doing a really nice and fast transition into this data-driven port sector into the future. We are also very happy to receive another speaker from the other side of the country, from the west coast, not far away from Bergen, and that is Hanne Lokøy. She's the head of market and communication in CCB, where you are working on communication, strategy, and innovation. And we had the pleasure, Maria and myself, to meet you last week on the base, which is quite an area with lots of infrastructure, lots of machinery, and lots of big heavy things. And I guess that one of the conclusions that we were taking after our visit to your base, Hanne, was that there has to be someone in charge of actually keeping track of all the equipment in this area. That might be something for an AR, maybe it's already in use. We're very pleased to have you here, Hanne, and we are also very eager to hear some viewpoints from CCB now and into the future. So the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Martin, for the warm welcome and for visiting us last week, and not at least for the opportunity to participate in this important webinar. As you know, artificial intelligence has hit us the last few years in all directions, both privately and in business world. And it's very important for us in CCB as an industrial actor to explore and onboard AI into our processes and operations. CCB is just in the beginning of finding out how AI can improve how we operate and communicate with our customers. And we are very happy to collaborate with actors as you in Ocean Highway Cluster to explore different paths within the Maritime AI. I just want to start with showing you some key figures and an overview about CCB and how we are. And just also just want to say that we are a 100% Norwegian-owned company. We do have, you visited us last week at Ågotnes, which is just outside Bergen, but we have, yeah, there's supposed to be a map on this slide as well, but it's not there. But we have a base here at Ågotnes, as I said, at Mongstad, just further north on the coast. Kollsnes, we have a small harbor, and also up in Sandnessjøen, Helgelandsbase. So we have a lot of base area, about just below 2.5 million square meters. A lot of outdoor and indoor storage workshops. We have 2,200 key meters. And as you noticed it last week, we have a lot of machineries moving around our base area. We do also have a subsea technology company in our portfolio, CCB Subsea, as well as a quite new company in our portfolio, CCB Naval Services, who is focusing on maintenance of Navy frigates. CCB Energy, our sister holding company, focuses on the green energy transition and has built a first of its kind hydrogen pilot with integrated carbon capture. But unfortunately, the technology is not quite mature enough, so for today, there is no production on the plant. They're working on it. And onwards in this webinar, I will focus on our quayside logistics and services towards vessels and rigs from the basis and where we are standing when it comes to AI. I think there are some transition slides here that is not coming up when it's in presentation mode. Maria, is there anything you can help me with? There? I can only, yeah.
Sorry, if you actually click on the slide itself, then it will pop up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So our services at our three bases, Ågotnes, Mongstad, Helgelandsbase in Sandnessjøen, we differed a bit, but what we definitely have in common is the large amount of vessels calls in our ports every year. And last year alone, Mongstad had over 2,000 vessel calls. Ågotnes had just over 1,500, and Helgeland had just over 600 port calls. And in addition, CCB at Ågotnes have had more than 300 rig visits since we started off more than 50 years ago. So it's what I started out with in this presentation. We're just at the starting point when it comes to Maritime AI. We do, however, have an AI-driven air drone at Ågotnes, and we are in the process of getting one at our other base locations. And this air drone does a lot of surveillance for us on a daily basis, as well as it detects deviations on our keys and fenders and feeds data directly back into our systems, where we can take further action before incidents occurs. The drone can also perform a 3D scans of vessels, rigs, and other infrastructures, such as building, tank farms, and so on. And it automatically feeds back the finds into our systems, so we can take measures and actions. We also have a sea drone that we can monitor the seabed, the key structures outside the bases, as well as it can perform hull inspections and cleaning on vessels on behalf of our customers and so forth. So what we try is we try continuously to explore opportunities and seek to be partners in valuable studies and projects going on, so that we get up to speed on digitalization and the use of AI in our operations. As we have the same platform for the extended cooperation with other ports, the same that Mikkel presented earlier for backing port collaboration. And the correct data input is vital to seed in this optimization. We are very interested in finding ways to use AI in optimization of planning and to improve vessel visits, as well as for the warehouse management system, and of course, fueling systems for the future. Because more use of AI will give us the opportunity to better plan and therefore reduce time of the key visits for the vessels, which also will add value for our customers and reduce emissions. I want to show you this slide quickly. I think that says a lot of our operations today. And it reminds us about our most important assets of today, which are our employees. And with the entrance of AI into our operations, these employees will still be our main asset. But we will be forced to look into how we work, how we optimize our processes, and how we can automate repetitive tasks using AI going forward to add value into our operations. These people will be the ones who set new initiatives alive using AI. They will drive innovation and shape how we work in the future. So we have more than 50 years of expertise in base operation, yard services, and supply chains. And one of the reasons for this that is that we have a drive to follow innovation all the way, and we have to follow the market and our customers. And we will always look into opportunities to improve, and add efficiency is important for us, and adding value to our customers and finding ways to collaborate to obtain the most value for, of course, ourselves and for our customers. And going forward, we want to find ways and partner up with organizations and companies to explore solutions and simplifications of processes by taking AI in use. We've had an ongoing digitalization process for some years now, and we still need to add more use of AI into the work, or we need to add more AI into the work to reduce the need to manually enter data into our systems. So that was what I wanted to present. Thank you for the opportunity, and back to you, Maria and Martin.
Thank you, Hanne. That was indeed a strong and practical perspective from CCB. I will bring you your points on collaboration and leadership directly into the panel discussion in this webinar. We will now move into a moderated discussion with questions to both guests, and feel free to ask in the chat. I will start with questions to Hanne and Mikkel, and then invite Martin to add the cluster's perspective and what we see as the next opportunities. Hanne, how can we collaborate to optimize? You said, briefly about it, to use the AI in port services in practice. And what is the single most important step to move AI from pilots into the daily operations? You briefly mentioned that.
Well, I think like webinars like today, and that we come together and talk about the possibilities, that's a very important tool to find ways together, because if we all sit on and explore our own possibilities, I don't think we can get the most use out of it. We need the same systems. We need more collaboration into driving the processes, and we have to find like the common data and the common priorities to get the best out of it. Yeah, we also have to collaborate like early, so that that we have everything digitalized and quality assured, because with AI we need a good quality data to be able to get the best output. So early collaboration, I think that's quite important.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, I'm hearing three things here. Collaboration has to be definitely structured. Also, leadership must be clear, and the key step in moving from pilot to operational ownership with measurable values is essential here. Excellent. That is exactly what kind of clarity ports and infrastructure partners need. Now, let's bring in the port authority perspective and the data foundation behind this. Mikkel, turning to Port of Oslo and what you mentioned in your slides, you have been working with the open port data and digital systems operations, as you said. When you say a port should be AI ready, what does that mean in practice? And if you can frame it in three elements: data quality and access, governance and role, and operational processes in day-to-day port operations. How can you clarify that?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned in my presentation, the core responsibility for us as Port Authority, that is the data foundation, and making sure that it is high quality data sets that are the basis for these AI systems. And that is kind of our core responsibility. And then also we need to have it standardized and machine readable so that the AIs can understand it. Because as I mentioned, that we are now moving away from Excel data sheets and email inboxes and knowledge in the brains of the engineers and into systems that can be accessed by multiple stakeholders. And then also the need for updating these data sets to enable real-time or at least near real-time operations. That is one of the key responsibilities that we have now. So that's what I understand as AI ready from the port's perspective. And then we also need to be assured that, well, the ports are perhaps a bit old, perhaps a bit slow actually, but we need to move at a pace where the stakeholders also at. And then we will need to look at, okay, how can we change our internal systems? Because as a landlord port under the municipality of Oslo, we have AI guidelines from the municipality, so we don't have our own. And that's one of the challenges that we have now, because it's very, very strict to incorporate AI into our operations, because we need to look into what are the guidelines from the municipalities point of view. So we don't have totally free hands to do what we want to, but luckily we can do these kind of projects and deliver the data to private stakeholders that has the abilities and no restrictions when it comes to incorporating AI into their operations.
Yeah, I agree with your point on data foundation and how operational value is created when shared in trusted information, as you said. Okay, I can see that we are running a little bit out of time. Let's zoom out for a moment here. Martin, from a cluster's perspective, what is the biggest opportunity for AI across maritime value chains right now, and what is needed to scale this collaboration as we are talking about,
Yeah, thank you, Maya. I think, that from a cluster perspective, we're based upon collaboration between different kinds of actors, and we're also based upon the fact that they need to innovate. And the biggest opportunity now is how can we actually use AI and data to move forward faster, as Mikkel mentioned, and also how do we use this possibility to reduce both the use of fuel and the reduce emissions from the sector. And I strongly believe that the main uses, at least from the conversations we've had with quite a lot of people lately, is that you can, with the use of AI, you can probably design faster, maybe even better, at least by using it as an assistance into this area. You can develop digital twins. You can use all the data and gather all the data together so that you get better answers for your prototypes and for your testing and for your planning and optimization. That has been mentioned quite a few times here. And I think that, you know, the whole use of AI into the sector, I mean, with so many stakeholders that have been mentioned here, from everything from on land to offshore, how can we use these measures to actually get a better overview and handle all the information much better, much easier, and with less cost? And I think that for the industry to move forward, we need to have more focus on actually building understanding and competence on what is AI, both the risks of it. We have to be, as Hanne mentioned, we really have to understand that this is a coupling of people and AI. It's not about one thing or another. We really have to understand how this will be developed together into the future. And of course, build these partnerships between these different actors. And I think the easy point, the last point, is also always how do we find the cash for developing these systems together? Because that is something that, I mean, AI is cash driven, both on the output but also on the input. How do we do this together as an industry? So I think there is a huge potential. I think we're in the beginning of something. We've started, the industry has started, but we have to move even further down the road to see what the real potential is in the future.
Let's see if we can take some questions and we can try to answer it, Martin.
Yeah, there has been a question in the chat that I think is very interesting. How will port agents be integrated into this AI-driven workflow? They are key stakeholders, and they will be appointing, coordinating port calls. A question about transactions in type of certification, reports, compliance data into your API, and you have a plan to comply with the EU AI Act. I don't know which one of you would like to start to answer that question. Maybe Mikkel, since you're the guy from Oslo. Please.
Yeah, thank you. Interesting question here. As I see it, we have the ship agents calling in via the safe CNET. So it's actually a combination of our systems and the safe CNET to see how they are going to incorporate it. We, as Port Authority, just not at the moment have a clear plan for incorporating AI in getting that information into our system and letting an AI kind of asserting berth places at our facility. But I do know that other ports in Europe, which has much more traffic than we do, they are looking into, they are incorporating this. But at the moment, we do not. And that, again, it's a bit onto this regulation that we have regarding the municipalities' AI guidelines, so that we can't just do the smart thing here and incorporate AI at the moment. But it is something that we will come in contact with at some point in the near future, because we do also see that AI is going to move into this area, and we also need it. Because it will free up a lot of man hours if we can get systems to do all the paperwork work for us. So simply said, no, we do not have a plan to comply with the EU AI Act, and it also depends on how much will Safe CNET incorporate AI and how they transfer their information to our systems.
Thank you, Mikkel. Would you like to add something from your side, Hanne?
Just quickly, we also use the Safe CNET to plan our vessel visits. So we also have to find the bridging systems, and again, collaboration to find the best solutions. But we do not have a plan of today. But yeah. That's
Thank you. And this is a question for, sorry, there we have another question in the chat. How do you see the optimal role of AI for also achieving decarbonization goals or other not strictly effectiveness related goals? In other terms, not only the cash, but also the emission side.
Yeah, I can take that. At the moment, we are doing a new security project for the port where we're looking into, can we set up some type of a monitoring system to see what type of vehicles are entering the port area. And that data can also be used to see, okay, what kind of trucks are actually arriving and when are they leaving again. And then we can begin to measure, okay, this truck owned by this company is in the port area for 10 minutes, it's in there for 8 minutes. And are they idle? Are they waiting? Or do they have a smooth process through the port? And that way we can look into, do we need to optimize something in regards to how the flow is through our area? So that's one thing, looking into an AI monitoring the traffic flow in and out of the port. But it could also be sensors for both emissions from the vessels when they are at quay, but it could also be noise, trying to predict when are the noise higher or lower, because that is one of the complaints that we get from a lot of our neighbors. And that is a real concern from us, and we do make noise measurements in order to be within the levels. So that could also be an area for us to incorporate AI to see what kind of vessels is it that makes the most noise pollution in our area.
Do you have any comments to that question, Hanne, on the decarbonization goals at CCB?
Yeah, I think that comes a little bit hand in hand. We have, if we can plan ahead, we can also plan like the better services for the vessels visiting, and also who needs or has to go on shore power or optimize shore power usage. But also with planning, we can the turnaround for the vessels will be shorter, and thus the emissions will go down. So yeah.
So effectiveness in the turnover, as you say, with ships and also with the vehicles, as you mentioned, Mikkel, will ultimately also result in less time using energy in the port, and then also cutting emissions. I think that's a very good point, actually, that we have to be optimizing every part of the operations, also in the ports, not only when you're going from a port to another one on the seas. Another question to you. It was mentioned the cost of infrastructure, data storage, and use of large language models to enable this data set. Any thoughts on who should finance these services and what is the business model? I guess that is part of the big question that you have internally in both areas. Hanne, would you like to start with a comment?
Well, we haven't gotten there. We know we have to do changes, and changes do cost money. But again, collaboration will also take down the cost. We don't have a business model at hand as of today. We are monitoring closely, and maybe this has to be something we do together to get down the cost.
Absolutely. Mikkel?
Yeah, we see in the port digitalization project that we have done, there have been multiple stakeholders, governmental agencies, so that takes kind of care of this data storage and that financial aspect. When it comes to large language models, again, we are a bit like Hanne and CCB. We are not there yet. but it could be interesting to discuss this with the shipping liners and also the terminal operators, because that's where we can see the high financial output. So they would probably be interesting to invest in this. And as Port Authority, we have previously been good at collecting or gathering these stakeholders and putting them into a room and say, okay, we need to solve this together. We need to be open about the data that we share, and then we'll see if it will happen, if they are willing to share this data. And then it could be some sort of shared financial business model that we could come up with.
Thank you so much for the both of you. Maria, I think we're getting to an end at this webinar, so please continue.
Yeah, I can see that we are running out of time. Thank you so much. First, Ocean Highway Cluster, thank Port of Oslo and CCB for excellent contribution, of course. Thank you to everyone who joined this webinar. I finally remind that this webinar has been recorded and we will share a short summary and the recording afterward. This is part of our Maritime AI webinar series. We will announce next episode soon. If you are port, infrastructure owner, operator, technology provider, or research environment, and you want to participate as a guest, please contact us. The series will be visible through Ocean Highway Cluster channels and through our guest speakers and partners nationally and internationally. Martin, any final words before we close?
Yeah, I just would like to say thank you again to our speakers. Thank you for the questions. And I would also like to remind all of you that we have a Maritime Hydrogen Conference in April from the 22nd to the 23rd, just outside of Florø. As you could probably understand, this is a conference that will be based upon the fact that we are into the maritime hydrogen sector, but we will also look into more and other aspects of AI into the sector, as I mentioned, as an enabler to actually break down the barriers that are hindering this sector to move forward. So please join us in April, and we look forward to seeing you all again in another webinar coming up soon. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. This concludes today's webinar.